I never said nobody had to listen to me, but I am here to get the message out.
Ay, I'm at the top of my game. I'm who they hate. This shit come with the fame. That's how I knew that I made it. I woke up looking this good. I'm in my prime. These niggas gotta get played. If these bitches ain't mad, I need to go harder. I can't let them think who this.
So last week I did have my Instagram followers vote on my Instagram regarding accountability and setting boundaries. Do people have more of a hard time with taking accountability or setting boundaries? And the winner was taking accountability. So let's just get into it. I really wanted to speak on accountability because I have honestly been dealing with accountability in my own life and just trying to be able to understand accountability, being able to process accountability, and also just being able to practice it. So I just wanted to give a few tips on the subject, and I'm also going to throw in a few tips about setting boundaries as well. Nobody's perfect. I don't expect anybody to be a perfect person, but I do feel like this is a big situation within the community because I feel like this is why a lot of families have like deep, dark trauma. And this is why a lot of people don't like to speak about things because of certain situations that has happened to them, whether it was in their childhood, whether it was in adulthood. First, what is accountability? Accountability is when you are taking responsibility for one's own actions, behaviors, or decisions. And I think it's important to understand accountability because when you're acknowledging your decisions or your behaviors and when you're being responsible, you can realize that it can really, your decisions and your behavior can really affect. I think it's important for people to understand accountability because it's part of you owning your decisions. It's part of you owning your behaviors and your actions. A lot of people don't realize that actions and behaviors and decisions can really affect other people in your life, whether positive or negative. And I think it's a big role in people's lives because a lot of people have a hard time with taking accountability for the things that they do, whether it's good or bad. And me personally, I really take accountability to my core because it just shows how responsible you are. It just shows how much of a leader you are. And again, it goes back to having emotional intelligence. You know that your decision has affected someone and you don't take the initiative to maybe apologize to that person or say, you know what, I was wrong. I could have handled this differently, or I could have just did this. Honestly, it could be too late for a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas. But I do feel like when you own up to the things that you do, when you say, I apologize for the things that I do, I feel like there's room for people to respect you. There's room for you to be mature. And I feel like a lot of people in this world really lack that. And I per se have really worked on just me taking accountability because I feel like when I get upset sometimes, I can get really stubborn. And I can get I can get petty. I can get very, like that. And I'm not saying that that's the best thing to do. But it's really hard for me to process when someone has done me wrong and they think that I'm just supposed to I'm supposed to be the one that's reaching out and apologizing. That's not what I'm doing. And sometimes I might not even hear you out because it's just why would you move like that? And it's trust also goes into accountability as well. If I can't trust you, we really have nothing. And I feel like when it comes to accountability and you're owning up to everything that you said that you done, actions, words, whatever the case may be, there's room for growth right there. And to say, I apologize for the things that I've done, can we move on from the situation? People really don't realize how important it is to acknowledge your own behaviors. If you know you have a toxic trait with something, and you know willingly that it can affect somebody that you love, what is so hard with saying, I'm going to own up to that. I apologize. That was my fault. That was my bad. Of course, I want you to come more sincere, but I feel like a lot of people have a hard time with that. And it's like, I feel like people have a hard time with that because they have a hard time with being vulnerable. They don't want people to see them at their lowest. Or, matter of fact, most of the time, people don't like to own up to the things that they do. It's because they don't want to be wrong. And it's just like, what is so wrong with being wrong? Nobody's always right. Nobody has it all together. And I think that goes a part of being a perfectionist. People want to be so perfect in this world, but be so quick to judge somebody else or speak on something somebody else is doing. No, speak on the things that you do. Acknowledge the behaviors that you have learned throughout the years from childhood to adulthood and speak on it. Take ownership. This is a part of being an adult. This is a part of adulthood. And again, I'm no therapist. I'm just speaking on tips that I know that everybody could honestly really work on. And you guys voted. Everybody voted and said accountability is what really people have a hard time doing. I didn't ask everybody why. I probably should have asked people why. But I think it's because a lot of people have a hard time being vulnerable, for number one. Number two, a lot of people don't like to be seen as being wrong. And number three, people deep down really want to be perfect. But nobody's perfect. And I think it's important to acknowledge your own faults. Apologize for your own faults. Also, I am going to be reading from my iPad because I take notes. But let's go into processing accountability. Accountability builds trust and it shows transparency in conduct. Accountability can demonstrate integrity, commitment to growth, and reliability, creating a foundation for strong relationships and effective leadership. Accountability includes demonstrating empathy and making amends when needed. So let's just speak on that, making amends when needed. I'm going to put myself out there. I just recently had a situation with somebody that I love dearly, and I confided in her, and I told her to not tell anybody in the family, her friends, whoever. I asked her, please, not to speak on the situation. She did it right in my face. First of all, hopped on the phone, you guys. Hopped right on the phone and straight off told my business. Right there to somebody. I knew the person, but the person was not even my family member. It was her friend. And I was hurt. I was so hurt, y'all, because I literally, genuinely just asked you not to tell my business. First of all, why are you telling my business in the first place? Why are you so thirsty to hop on a call to tell my business? And then on top of that, you do it in my face. I just feel like it did hurt me. But I have to also understand she is the kind of person who really has a hard time with taking accountability because she is stuck in her ways. And I really don't like to bring up signs. Even though I am a sign fanatic, I know all about astrology, okay? And a lot of people like to not put astrology into certain situations, but it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. And if I tell y'all this person's sign, please don't trip. I might tell y'all a little bit down the line. But as of right now, I have not spoken to the person. Because I just feel like it was so heartbreaking that I feel like you kind of deteriorated our bond after you decided to disclose information that I asked you not to disclose. And then you didn't think you were wrong. You didn't even take accountability. You didn't say, I apologize for what you did. For what I did. I was wrong. And you know why? Because people are stuck in their ways. People don't see it no other way. And people, like I said again, do not think they're wrong. Was that person wrong? Absolutely. They was absolutely effing wrong. But I couldn't even try to even see it from her point of view. Because the first chance you got, you hopped right on the call and told my business. You didn't even wait till I was gone out of your face to say, so-and-so, this happened to so-and-so. You literally blatantly did that, and it really hurted me. And I see why a lot of families have deep, dark trauma, and why a lot of kids carry deep, dark trauma to adulthood because of people like them. That person that I love dearly knows that they were wrong, but that person will never call my phone and say, I sincerely apologize for what I did. Because it's an ego thing. It's always about ego when it comes to accountability. People feel like their ego will be bruised if you tell them that they're wrong or they're not perfect. Especially if they try to put on the image like they're just so innocent, perfect, holier than thou, when that's not the case. Everybody has sinned. Everybody has done wrong. And again, nobody is perfect in this world. God did not make us perfect. God said that we were going to mess up. But it's all about repenting, taking ownership, apologizing. Because nobody's better than the next. And nobody's better than the rest. We're all here learning on this earth. And that's not the first time that she's done that to somebody. And like I said, I wanted to speak on boundaries in this situation as well. That's crossing somebody's boundaries. If I just asked you not to do something, you're crossing somebody's boundaries. That literally would get you cut off from somebody. And I will never understand why people have a hard time with apologizing for the things that they do and setting the correct boundaries. Because they know that would hurt that person if they was to cross it. Especially if you guys have a tight bond. A lot of people don't realize how much people can really hurt people. I've truly learned a long time ago that hurt people hurt people. And it's really the honest to God truth that hurt people hurt people. I've been in a lot of situations where a person was really deeply hurt, hurt, and they was just blatantly out here just being disrespectful, hurting everybody else because they were still hurt. They didn't get the healing that they needed. And I think that it's very important for families to get the healing that they need, so they're not carrying it to their kids, so they're not transferring their energy over to their loved ones or to their friends. People don't really understand how energy, whether positive or negative, can really affect somebody. You just putting that bad energy out in the world makes people don't want to be around you. And it's really sad to say, because I really feel like people are really loving people. But people are not honest people. People have a hard time with being honest with themselves and having that discipline, setting those boundaries, having that transparency. When it comes to this type of stuff, that's conduct. That's code. People really get hurt out here when it comes to boundaries, when it comes to accountability. People need to understand how important this is. It's not something that you should be taking lightly. Life is not a joke. Life is fun. Life is full of ups and downs. But life is never a joke. It can be. Because I done been through some stuff that's been a joke. Do you hear me? I done been through some things that's been a joke. Okay? So, to that. But, to that. But, I think it's important to understand the process of accountability, the understanding of accountability, on why it's so important to be a leader out here in this world. In this world, it's so many fakes and phonies. It's so many of them that you can't even see who the real is no more. After somebody mess you over, you just feel like anybody liable enough to mess you over again and to do you dirty. It's so many situations that I've been in where I feel like people played with my boundaries, and it really wasn't until I wasn't speaking to them anymore that they really had to stand on what they did to me. You might have not took accountability for what you did and came and said it to me, but you know what you did. And you no longer having that access to me, you're going to feel that. And that's a part of also setting boundaries. It doesn't matter if that's your mother, your brother, your sister, your grandma, your auntie, your cousin, your sis, whoever, your boyfriend, your lover, husband. If they dead wrong, they dead wrong. And if they're not grown enough to apologize or to be upfront and take ownership of the role that they played in a situation, then you don't need to be around me. You lack understanding, you lack compassion, and I can't trust you. I'm just speaking on this because I feel like my situation could be something minor to you guys. Something worse could have happened to you guys out there. I'm not sure. But this is why I feel like if somebody's not standing on what they did, and if you're not setting those correct boundaries with those people, they will continue to do that, because that is what you're allowing. I'll allow that person to do that. I know what that person is already capable of. I know the type of person that person is already is, but I think it's just me personally giving that person the benefit of the doubt, like always. That's just my own heart that I have, that I'm trying to heal and figure out in my own journey of setting boundaries, of me taking accountability of my own decisions and actions. I have to take accountability and realize I told this person my business. And I have to understand that sometimes secrets don't stay secrets. Secrets always come out. And don't get me wrong, you guys, this was not like the biggest secret in the world. It could be looked at as something minor, but to me it was something that really was like, oh, you bold to tell that after I asked you not to. And something else just recently happened to me. I just don't want to stay stagnant on that topic for too long, because at the end of the day, that's still a situation that I am still processing and still working on in my own life. And all I can do at this point is pray about it. And I just ask God to heal those who need more help than others, because that person needed more help than I did. And don't get me wrong, everybody needs help. Everybody needs help. Especially when it comes to this healing. Everybody needs it. But I'm very spiritually aware of what's going on than others. And a lot of people not able to process that. And I understand. That person's not there yet. But don't expect me to be down there and stoop to your level. I'm not doing it. So if you think me not speaking to you is me punishing you, it's crazy. I'm not punishing anybody. I'm loving on me first. I'm putting me first. I refuse to let anybody play with me because I know what I stand for. Clacky. But let's talk about practicing accountability. Let's talk about what can we do in our daily routines and habits of life to make accountability a little bit more easier for us. And I definitely want to start off with definitely having clear communication, clear expectations, letting people know your needs and your wants when it comes to accountability. I just feel like when you're communicating effectively, it just helps with being more self-aware. I'm also reading from my iPad again. When you recognize and you evaluate your own actions for personal development, you follow through with being consistent, self-discipline, and a willingness to learn. When you set clear goals, be honest, track progress, seek feedback, and practice self-reflection, you have no choice but to build clear and healthy boundaries and accountability in all areas of your life. I don't know how much clearer I can be when it comes to that. This is not a topic that has to go on for hours or even 30, 40 minutes. But it's just a process of doing, having the self-reflection. I don't want to hold you guys up too long, but I did say I was going to do a few tips on setting boundaries. And I did type in my notes. And just so everybody knows, like, setting boundaries is an essential maintaining, just to help you maintain a healthy relationship and managing your own energy and your own well-being. So first things first is understanding your needs. Reflect on what makes you feel uncomfortable or comfortable in specific situations. Be clear and direct. Communicate your boundaries in a calm and assertive manner. For example, use I statements. Express your feelings and needs. Stay consistent. Once you set a boundary, stick to it. Inconsistency can confuse others and make it harder to enforce limits. And expect pushback. Some people might not respond well initially, especially if they're used to accommodating them. Stay firm, but respectful in reinforcing your boundaries. And practicing self-care. Everybody knows what practicing self-care. I hope you knew. But it's also about recognizing what boundaries are, not being selfish, prioritizing activities, and your relationships that aligns with your values and your needs. Recognizing the red flags when it comes to boundaries. If someone consistently disrespects your boundaries, it may indicate an unhealthy dynamic. What I just told you guys about the person that I love to my core. Me and that person is very close. So for that person to cross my boundaries for the second time, and that's not the first time that person has did that. The first time that person crossed my boundaries, I didn't talk to that person for a week. And then I came and told her exactly what she did wrong and how she did wrong. She then apologized, but she only apologized because I wanted an apology. You're not apologizing because you're sorry, and you're not apologizing because what you did was wrong. You don't think you're wrong. I think that person, again, is used to unhealthy dynamics in their own relationship, and where I am at in my life, I do not want to bring that baggage on to my husband, to my kids, to my mother, to my sister, to my brother. I don't want to bring that on to my own family. I refuse. So I'm going to do the work that's necessary for me so it doesn't happen to my kids. or to my loved ones. And also another thing with setting boundaries is also just saying no. You don't always have to say yes. You don't always have to be a people pleaser. You don't always have to be on everybody's good side. I did just learn that some people gonna put you as the villain in their story, and that's okay. I'm fine with being the villain. As long as I stood on what I said, as long as I'm setting my boundaries, as long as I'm taking accountability for the things that I do, then I'll be the villain. But just know, I'm getting that work done over here. I'm healing over here. I'm doing my inner work. Are you? Are you? No. A lot of people are not. A lot of people are comfortable where they are. A lot of people have a hard time with acknowledging their inner demons and trying to overcome them. I know what my inner demons are, and I'm working on it till this day. Like I said, sometimes I can be a little petty when it comes to certain situations. I'm learning that. But I feel like people don't understand how much of a big heart that I really have and how much I be willing to do for people. I used to be a motherfucker. Let me stop cussing. I used to be one of those serial people pleasers who always wanted to make people happy because I loved them. But it's not always about that. You have to love you first. You have to sometimes say no. Especially if you know that this is hurting you, or this is not something that you really want to do, or this is not something, again, goes with your self-values or your boundaries. You take accountability for that. This is not going right with my heart and what I want to do. I'm going to say no. I'll pass. Thank you for the offer, though. You don't have to be rude about it. No, thank you. I'm okay. That's all about self-care as well. Managing your own emotional well-being. I just hope you guys got a little something out of this. I don't want to keep you guys for too long. I did want to come and make a video because, again, I'm showing up. I'm showing up. I didn't forget. I hope you guys are still showing up for yourselves. And as we go into this new year, I just want people to really focus on their healing. Focus on what really hurted you. 2025, just focus on you. Focus on the inner healing. Focus on the emotional well-being. Focus on those healthy dynamics that you really want to be around and cater to in your life. And be that. Be that leader. Stand on everything that you say and mean it. I appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. I know it is a little dark. My lighting is not the best at this moment. But we're going to work on that. All things new coming, okay? Progress. More progress to be made. Nobody's perfect, again. But I just want to say thank you. I appreciate everybody. And I just hope you have a good night. And stand on business. Always.